Let's continue from last time where Sammy went through all the MRC roles, but we have just one tiny change from the last video, and that is we are using instead of Apache, we are using Nginx now. So this is what it's doing. It's installing Nginx directly to the server. And then it's copying this file, this nginx.conf file, which basically maps the default port 80 with the local port of 5000, which is used by the web app here. Here. Right. Where did we go with that? Yeah, and then while installing, since in our comments file we earlier installed Apache, we need to stop it, update the file, and then restart the Nginx server in order to get it completely working. So last time we had talked about the general architecture, which was basically like a binary search tree of height 2, where one node was the master node connected to two master node, connected to two slave nodes. And what we do here for the web app is we connect our web app server, which is the same flavor as the other servers, which is a 2 GB, 2 virtual CPUs and 9 GB RAM, with the master server. So it forms like if you want to visualize, you can visualize it as a Y, with the top being slave nodes, the center being the master node, and the lower dash being the web server. Anyways, so now let's go through the web app code. Oh yeah, and one more thing. The general architecture is designed in that way so that it survives, it's more resilient, so that even if one server fails, we have replicated data on the other one and another harvester going off at the other end. Okay, so now let's start with the web app code, which is right here. So when we run the Ansible notebook, it basically clones the repo this place, this path, and what it does is it runs the Docker Compose file here, which builds this directory, which is a .flask app directory, which basically calls this file and runs this Docker file, which is still within it. So the first thing that it does is in the Docker container, it copies the current file to the root. Then it changes this file to the working directory to Flask app. And then it runs pip install Flask, which is the only dependency for running the web app. And then we expose the port 5000 because it is the one which is hosting our web app. And then this command Python app.py, it is used to start the Flask app. So there's that. And yeah, so let's go to this. Let's go to this file and see what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, so we were the commented section was when we were trying to process, do analysis while while loading the front end, but the thing was that it was really slow. And so it was an overall bad idea. So instead of that, what we did was we did the tweet analysis in a different file, which we'll go through after this, and front end in a different file, which is this. So yeah, we have created an app, and we have created various routes with both method get and post. So this is the index page, the one which is loaded by default. This page gives us information on overall data set that we have collected and the various electorates. This talks about the taxes. This talks about the climate, about the housing, and yeah, and then we run the run the front end using this one. Yeah, so app.run, we have to expose the host in order to get it to connect to the connect from inside, from the local host to the outside port. So whenever a request comes through, it comes through this file. If we don't put this in, we get an error request. The debug option was just for testing, but it doesn't really affect it anyways, so that's fine. So yeah, let's take a look at this file. Oh, oops, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the nginx config file that we had copied onto the and replaced it with the one that was created by default on the server. So what it does is it maps the local port 5000 with the server port 5000, which is here, and then the server port 5000 with the overall port 80, which is accessed by default to get an output like this. Yeah, there's that. And yeah, these are just web pages that we have created. It has all the information on what we're talking about, what we're doing. So what our web page is basically like a case study of Melbourne through the past and the present and what makes it a livable city. So we have just started off. So here we have just started off with a brief history of how John Batman met with the Wurundjeri elders, and then the gold rush that happened, along with the Melbourne being capital for a few 27 years of the early 20th century, followed by how the Melbourne grew in the 20th century. It's just a background on what we are going to talk about. And then we are talking about what Melbourne is today. So why are we talking about politics? Because when we talk about livability, the very first thing that comes to mind is what the people want. Like, livability is all about the people's wants. So who they choose as a leader, what they think of the politics going on, what their opinions are basically what affect heavily how livable a city is. So when we have used the field data, we have done a few analysis. The first one is our demographic analysis. It's said that Melbourne is a multicultural city. And in this, we have considered all tweets. So yeah, as it says, Melbourne has a varying group of socio-economic backgrounds, which means that they must have different outlooks, different needs, different political alignments. So in that sense, we wanted to take a look at how things are, how things go along. So there we go. So this gives us an idea of what every electorate is like, how much income do they have, like, and how much do they tweet, what kind of political party they prefer. Like we can see the one close to the heart of the city are heavily invested in greens, while the ones away from the city are not so invested in greens. The ones outside the city do tend to vote liberal a lot more, but it becomes competitive as they start getting in and the labor starts gaining votes. Tweets per capita are obviously higher in the city because, well, the development is higher, the number of people talking is higher, and generally the population density itself is higher. So there's that. Yeah, outside the city, less number of people talk about it. Maybe the people, it's more spread out, whatever. It's a bunch of factors which contribute to all of these. Okay, let's go back. Yep. So once we've seen what the general population looks like, then we'll look at some specific scenarios which are relevant to a good life, quality life. The first of it being residential and housing. I mean, this is humans' basic need, and yeah. So and then Melbourne is Australia's most densely populated area as well. So we'll look at how popular the housing options and prices and stuff are. Okay. So as we can see that the places with higher income tend to support liberals, while places with a lower income tend to support labor more. The mean age is almost the same, but the Greens vote ratio decreases as we go out from the city. And yeah, these are basically the number of tweets that includes housing per capita. So as you can see, as the city spreads out, the number of people tweeting about housing is less because there probably isn't as much people or there's enough space. But in the midst of the city, in the heart of the city, a lot of people are talking about the places because, you know, housing is a major issue out here, which correlates well with what we already know about Melbourne. So, yep, let's move on to taxation. Well, taxation is an important topic. Like even the rich and the middle class, the poor, everyone talks about taxation. And let's see what alignment these people tend to be based on that. Okay. Okay. So this shows the number of tweets that include tax per capita. I mean, per number of people out there. Again, surprisingly, this electorate, Fraser and Marybong, have a lot of people talking about taxes, which is curious because we don't really know why. As expected, the center of the city definitely talks a lot about taxes because, well, you know, because tax makes a huge part of their income, probably. So, yeah. And the rest of the electorate seem to be pretty chill on it because, yeah, they don't really have that many issues. The cost of living is low. Yeah, that's why. Then this map actually correlates very well with the knowledge we already have. So we would be accepting of this. Let's go back. And yeah, climate change. It's a topic which has been talked about over and over in media. Some people believe it to be true, some people don't. Let's see how much do Melbournians care about it, because, I mean, if you preserve the climate, the city will naturally be more livable. Okay, so yeah, we can say that the center of the city has more people talking about it because A, there's more awareness about it. B, these places are the ones seeing actual results of the climate change or having direct consequences from the change in climate. Or we can also say that just the population density is high enough that they tweet more often. Whatever it is, it does fit well into our assumption that the center, the more populated places, the more concerned the people would be with climate. So yeah, this fits as well. And yeah, I think that is the end of our case study of Melbourne as a livable city in Australia. It started in the past with the first arrival of people. And today we nominate politicians and talk about climate, taxes, housing, stuff like that. So yeah.